morning. We're going to do problem 4-6 here, start to finish. Of course, by beginning, it'll be different for you, but making sure you do File, New, grab the right thing from the right place. In my case, I'm at home, so it's going to be off of the K drive. If I can find it, it's in Users, Mark Patak. It'll probably be on the K drive for you. Notice there, I'm grabbing a decimal template, hitting an open here. You're going to do a lot of continuing. You're back to there. Ignore the references. You want to get to the model. Your check. You've got your draw toolbar. You have your modify toolbar. You have your layers toolbar. You have your view toolbar. You can push this back and forth, up and down if you want. We're going to keep it around for one thing, and that is the center radius. We're going to learn also to click this one here, the Layers Property Manager, so we can do all kinds of things like turn all of our layers on, and then left-clicking out there. That box, of course, is not a box we want, so we left-click and hit the Delete key. You can wheel in and out, hit Escape, Escape, Escape. We can go to the correct layer if we're smart and go to View. We can turn on our Ortho so we can draw a box that's larger than what we want to draw. In this case, I'll draw the box 10. I take my hand off the mouse with the Ortho on. I type 10, return, right-click, cancel, or escape. I now am going to show you again. Turn on the dynamic if you care. You will right-click and do offset. I cannot do that, so I type O spacebar. I can go right-click here and pick through, and then I have to select the object, and I'm just going through an arbitrary point. That's not what I wanted, so I'm going to click on it. I can see a undo here. I'm going to do, once again, offset, not through, but a distance. I can say O for offset. I take a distance of 10. I type it in. I select the object, I go up there, escape or right click cancel will work. I can now turn off my dynamic if I want. As a rule, I think it does tend to confuse you if you have it rolling on. Shift right click, endpoint. I have my Ortho on. This will work, but another idea would be to turn it off. You can hit F8, shift right click, endpoint. So having those snaps on can be helpful but sometimes confusing. O for offset, T for through. You've only got two flavors of offset. It's through or a distance, so you really don't need all the special tools. You now have a box drawn, escape, 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 Z space, E space, wheel out twice, or just double click on the middle mouse. It doesn't work in my machine. You now might want to get a strong baseline down, so you might want to do O for offset and take that bottom baseline, and maybe I'm only going to put it one off the bottom here. Right, we want that. I'm left clicking. We can, as a rule, we can right click, do properties. We can pull down here and change it there, or we can use the quick properties, but you want to change the layer. I'll show you one more time. Right click when it's selected, sorry. I'm left clicking, right clicking, properties. I'm going to change the layer property. The layer property, I'm going to put it on object. I'll point out that this does not change. When I hit escape here, my current layer is still view. So if you're going to be drafting from now on the layer object, you might want to pull down to the layer object there. Or if you're going to be drafting, as we say in a second, centerline, you might want to pull down there. But you're going to see quite often what you're going to be doing, you're better off offsetting and then changing. So even though my layer is set to centerline, I'm going to O for offset, T for through, select this line over here, shift right click, midpoint, grab that, escape, and now I want that layer to be on centerline. So learning early to establish strong baselines and center lines and the like is very, very useful. All right, now we have our baseline going here along the bottom, and what we're going to realize is we only need to draft 1/2 of this. So two of the themes you've at least heard once before is that if identify lines of symmetry, and then also identify repeating shapes. So you see in this shape here you have 4 holes that repeat, or 1 small hole that repeats 4 times, 1 larger hole that repeats twice, and then 1 large hole that does not repeat, but it is split down the middle. You can draw, if you have a center line there, really that center line does become your strong baseline. So I'm going to do this just to be better. I'm going to offset 4 from the center line off to the right here. Right? And again, because you want to get used to clicking on something and changing its layer so your eye does not get confused, I'm going to change that to object. And now you can see a 2-step process if you want here for this initial small piece here. We can do a fillet radius 0, and if I don't give it any updates, I click, and do that. But then in all reality, some of you realize that that's a chamfer, but it doesn't give you the chamfer, so you're going to have to do some mathematics in a little bit to figure out, or some drafting to figure out that 60 degree coming down. What you do know, however, is you know that we're going to be drafting just the left side, so it could help right now to learn to use the trim command. And the trim command is TR. We like to say screw that right away and not tell it what your cutting edge is. We'll show you how to do it another way later, and you can just click on what you want to pull back to the center line. We can now offset distance 5 and take that and get that start point there. Fillet. The radius is set to 0, so I click on the 2 I want. And now we can start going back, if we would, and start dealing with these different offsets. And so if you notice there, I'm going to offset 1 to get this establishment there. That's 1 to the left, and it turns out offset 3 down. This one is down 3. And if you notice there, again visually it doesn't look right what I did. If you notice there, it didn't take what I did, my intent. So quite often you want to use your visual clues. I'm going to hit E for erase, because the reason it did that, I didn't give it the right answer. Once again, O for offset, 3 for the distance, and I go from here. Now that looks more correct. And so now I have a point here, and my other point we're going to realize is 0.5 off to the left here. O, 0.5 for distance. And now I have 2 intersections that I can draw to. So I can do line, shift right click from the intersection there to the shift right click to the intersection there. Again, because I'm going to draw in my current layer, very often you want to switch the current layer, but if you forget to, you can click on it, select back, and then in this case we probably right away go ahead and change it to object. Now you're back to the point of being able to use a fillet command and grabbing and clicking what you want to keep. So I'm going to say F for fillet, grab that and that. I want to keep those. Spacebar remembers the command. I've got this and this, and I've got that basic piece done as I know I need to. Now for this next piece, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. Right? I might want to get rid of that. I don't need that. I'm going to erase here. A useful thing sometimes is just to draw a circle to figure out where a point is. So in this case, I'm going to show you that you can draw center radius from the shift right click the endpoint here, 3. And now I've got a point established there. And what I want to do is I want to go down at 60 degrees down. And so I can do something like this. If you remember, a line, shift right click from the intersection there at 100, and don't let the 100 throw you, it's just giving you a big number. What angle minus 60? And you see that, and now I can just trim or fillet, trim, screw that, and it's going to trim that back. All right, we'll pick this up and finish it in a second. Thanks for listening.